Hello, I'm Kelly Dennis. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I work with people who have eating disorders and anxiety, depression. I do some couples counseling too. And something that I notice with a lot of my clients, well, all of them really, is that stress is something that they struggle with, and I think we all struggle with that. And so I've created this YouTube channel, Discover a New Day, to provide some help and assistance in being able to manage stress more effectively, to be able to tolerate times of high distress and learn how to cope with that, and to be able to manage emotions more effectively. So this video is about judgment and how to maybe be mindful of that judgment and to not have it be so prevalent. It can also help with reduction of stress if we're not judging and evaluating our thoughts and our feelings or other people or ourselves. And so today I'd like to tell you a story. And this is a Zen story about judging. And like with all Zen stories, it's designed to impart some wisdom. So there was this farmer, and he had farmed his fields for a long time with the use of a faithful horse. And one day his horse ran away. And his neighbors came over and said, "How unfortunate that your horse ran away." And the farmer said, "Maybe." A little while later, his horse returned. And not only just his horse, but his horse brought 3 other horses with it. And his neighbors exclaimed, "How fortunate!" And the farmer said, "Maybe." A little while later, his son had decided to try to ride one of these untamed horses, and he fell and broke his leg. And the neighbors said, "How unfortunate that this happened to your son." And the farmer said, "Maybe." A little while later, some military officials came by, and they were looking to draft people into the military. But seeing that his son had a broken leg, they passed him by. And his neighbors exclaimed, "How fortunate!" And he said, "Maybe." So the farmer, unlike his neighbors, was able to practice non-judgment. And so he didn't label each event as good or bad. It just was. And so he was able to just kind of see things as they were in that moment. And I think that's pretty important, because a lot of the stress that we feel is because we're judging things good or bad, or we're judging ourselves. I'm not good enough. I used to be really good at this. Now I'm not good at it anymore. We just assign these labels to our experiences. And it really does add to stress, because if we're practicing something and we feel like we're not good at it, then our stress increases. Or if we feel like we're really good at something and then suddenly we feel like we're not good at it anymore, we've labeled it and judged it and created stress. So a lot of times we go through our lives on autopilot. It's one of the things that mindfulness can really help with, is returning out of autopilot and just being aware of our thoughts and our feelings and our experiences in the moment. And so thoughts are kind of funny. We all have them throughout the day. Most of the time we're not even really aware of them unless we're making a judgment. But really, thoughts are not facts. And a lot of times we think they are. And we go through our days and we operate on these thoughts that we think are facts. And a lot of times it's erroneous. And it leads us to make decisions that aren't necessarily in our best interest, or it leads to emotional distress in the moment. And so being able to just step back from your thoughts and realize that they are subjective experiences based on sometimes past experiences or assumptions that we're making about something that will happen in the future. Like I said, though, judgment and evaluating is an important part. I mean, that's how we fit into society. That's how we make decisions throughout the day. That's how we problem solve. So it's not necessarily something that you want to get rid of, but it certainly is something that you want to notice and become aware of. And not really take much stock in it, but just kind of notice that you're doing it. So I would like to take you through a mindfulness exercise today that will help you to be able to begin this practice of non-judgment. And so if you've been listening or watching some of my videos so far, you know that we always start with some breathing. And a little bit ago, my therapy cat Fred and I taught you how to do diaphragmatic breathing. So hopefully you've been practicing that, and we'll use that today. Not necessarily the counting, but certainly the paying attention to the breathing. And then we'll also begin to focus a little bit on our body, but a little bit in a different way than we have before. And then we're going to talk about the thoughts that are popping in as you are working with this mindfulness exercise to see if there's any judgment that's happening. And of course there will be, but then being able to be aware of the judgment, noticing what's happening with the judgment, and then bringing your awareness back to your body. So if you want to make this really challenging, if you've already feel like you're pretty good at mindfulness exercises, what you might want to do is you might want to do this exercise with an awareness or a spotlight on a part of your body that you're uncomfortable with. Not only will you have judgments about other things, but you'll also have judgments about that part of your body. So anything that works for you, you could start out small, just noticing the thoughts that you're having, any judgments that you're making in general. Sometimes it can be, this is boring, why am I doing this, I'm not very good at this, I'm already really good at this. So those are all judgments, so you can just be aware of those judgments. Or like I said, you can focus on a particular part of your body during the body awareness exercise and see what kinds of judgments that brings up. So start out, as always, by getting into a comfortable position. You can be sitting up like I am, or you can be lying down on a comfortable bed or on the floor with a blanket or a yoga mat. And just get yourself into a comfortable position, making sure that your head, neck, and spine are straight. And you can close your eyes if you want to, or you can soft focus on something a little bit in front of you, just so that your attention is not necessarily on what you're looking at, but being able to focus on the mindfulness exercise and the sound of my voice. And so go ahead and take a nice deep breath in and let it out. And just let your body settle in to whatever you're sitting or lying upon. And take another nice deep breath in. And let it out. Beginning to focus on your breathing. Perhaps focusing on the tip of your nose so that you can notice the air as it comes in and out of your nose. Or perhaps focusing on your diaphragm and noticing the rise and the fall of your diaphragm as you breathe. And then just allowing yourself to settle in to breathing comfortably and easily. And if your mind wanders, as it probably will, just notice where it went. And then notice if it's evaluating or judging anything while it's over there. And you can just say, that's interesting. I was thinking about whatever, and then bring your attention back to your breathing. So it's not good, it's not bad, it just is. And now as you focus on your breathing, I'd like you to shift your attention to a part of your body that you're just noticing right now. Perhaps it's a part of your body that's making contact with the floor or the chair. Perhaps it's a part of your body that's having a physical sensation that's making you notice it right now. My feet are on the floor and I can feel them, the physical sensations in my feet. And so my awareness is naturally drifting for me, to my feet. And so now see if you can shine a spotlight, as it were, on that particular part of your body. And just noticing any sensations. And if your mind wanders, as it probably will, notice where it went and bring it back. But then also notice what kinds of thoughts are coming up as you focus on that particular part of your body. I'm having the thoughts of, my foot feels a little sore today. And so I'm just noticing that, not necessarily judging that as good or bad, just noticing that there's a sensation in my foot. Although sore does have the connotation that I'm judging. But just noticing. And continuing to shine that spotlight on that particular body part. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you focused on a body part that is something that is challenging for you to remain subjective about, you might be having all sorts of judging thoughts. And so just take notice of those. And if it becomes too overwhelming, return your attention to your breathing. Sometimes you can move back and forth from focusing the spotlight on the body part and the physical sensations that you're noticing and the thoughts that you're having, and then moving back to the breathing and focusing on your breathing. And so now just go ahead and take a nice deep breath in and let it out. And wiggle your fingers and your toes. And if you've had your eyes closed, you can open your eyes. And just taking note of your experience right now. I know when I first started practicing mindfulness, it was hard for me to stay focused on one thing for very long. I had to start small for maybe 1 or 2 minutes at a time, and then move to longer periods of time, giving myself permission to notice where my mind went, and then to bring it back non-judgmentally. I'm just noticing those things that I was thinking, noticing that they were subjective thoughts, not necessarily facts, and they're about my internal experience or my external experience with the world. And so the more you practice, like with anything else, the better you'll get at it. So I hope that this mindfulness experience was a good one for you and it was helpful, and I hope you'll practice it. So please be well and have a wonderful day.